What if we've all been looking at the testaments the wrong way? What if Daisy isn't actually the most important weapon against Gilead? What if Aunt Lydia's secret plan has never really been about Daisy at all? And what if the person who ultimately destroys Gilead is someone hiding in plain sight? Because after watching season 1, I keep coming back to one character. Agnes. Not June. Not Daisy. Not Garth. Not even Aunt Lydia. Agnes. And the more I think about it, the more convinced I become that Agnes is the real secret weapon in the entire story. In fact, I think June and Aunt Lydia may be unknowingly building the perfect person to bring Gilead crashing down from the inside. Let's talk about it. At first glance, Agnes doesn't look like a revolutionary. That's actually what makes her so dangerous. When the Testaments begins, Agnes appears to be exactly what Gilead wants. Obedient, polite, respectful, soft-spoken. A girl who follows rules. A girl who accepts her place. A girl who has been raised entirely within Gilead's system. Compared to Daisy, who comes from outside and constantly questions everything, Agnes seems passive, almost powerless. But that's exactly where Gilead makes its biggest mistake. Because history has shown us something important. The most dangerous revolutionaries are often the people nobody suspects. The people sitting quietly in the room. The people listening. The people learning. The people everyone overlooks. And that's Agnes. Think about everything we've seen throughout season 1. Every episode slowly chips away at Agnes's faith in the system. Not all at once. Not dramatically. But piece by piece. At first she believes the adults around her. She believes marriage is honorable. She believes commanders are righteous. She believes Gilead exists to protect women. Then reality starts creeping in. The cracks begin to show. She sees friends suffering. She sees girls losing control over their futures. She sees fear disguised as faith. And perhaps most importantly, she begins experiencing betrayal from the very people who are supposed to protect her. That's where the transformation starts. Because revolutions aren't born from comfort. They're born from disappointment. Every great rebellion begins with somebody realizing they've been lied to. And Agnes is reaching that point. One of the biggest clues comes through her relationship with Garth. Now, on the surface, this looks like a simple love story. A girl develops feelings for a boy. The system gets in the way. Heartbreak follows. Pretty standard. But I think it's much bigger than that. Garth represents choice. Something Agnes has never truly had. For the first time in her life, Agnes wants something for herself. Not because Gilead told her to. Not because Aunt Vidala instructed her to. Not because Commander Weston approved it. Because she chose it. And when Gilead takes that choice away, it fundamentally changes her. Suddenly the system becomes personal. It's no longer some abstract set of rules. Now it's standing directly between Agnes and the life she wants. That's dangerous. Because once someone starts questioning one rule, they often start questioning all of them. Then comes Dr. Grove. And honestly, I think this storyline changes everything. Agnes learns something horrifying. The system doesn't protect girls. It protects powerful men. That realization is devastating. For years, Agnes has been taught that obedience equals safety. That following the rules keeps you protected. But Dr. Grove exposes the lie. The people in power aren't always the good guys. Sometimes they're the predators. And when Agnes brings these concerns forward, she discovers something even worse. The truth isn't enough. Evidence isn't enough. Justice isn't automatic. Power matters more. This is the exact moment where many future revolutionaries are born. The moment they realize the system isn't broken. The system is working exactly as intended. And that's a terrifying realization. Now, let's bring Aunt Lydia into this. Because I think Aunt Lydia sees something in Agnes that nobody else sees. Everyone else views Agnes as another girl to be married off. Another future wife. Another obedient citizen. But Aunt Lydia is smarter than almost everyone in Gilead. She understands people. She studies them. She manipulates them. And I think she's beginning to recognize Agnes's potential. Not necessarily as a leader. Not yet. But as a symbol. And symbols are powerful. Look at baby Nicole. An entire nation turned a child into a symbol.
Why?
Because symbols inspire people. They create movements. They unite resistance. Agnes has the potential to become something similar. The difference is that Agnes isn't outside Gilead. She's inside. And that's what makes her valuable. Daisy can infiltrate. June can attack from the outside. But Agnes understands the system from within.
She knows how these people think.
She knows their customs. She knows their weaknesses. She knows their blind spots. That's information no outsider can fully replicate. And that brings me to what might be the biggest clue of all. Agnes is June's daughter. I don't think that's accidental. The show keeps reminding us of this for a reason. Because despite growing up in completely different worlds, Agnes is beginning to resemble her mother. Not physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. We're starting to see June's stubbornness emerge. June's curiosity. June's refusal to accept injustice. June's willingness to challenge authority. At first it appears in small moments. Questioning decisions. Pushing boundaries. Speaking out when she shouldn't. But those moments are becoming more frequent. More significant. More dangerous. And that's exactly how June started. People forget that June wasn't born a revolutionary. She became one. Circumstances created her. Pain created her. Loss created her. Agnes is following a similar path. The difference is that Agnes may be even more effective. Because unlike June, Agnes understands Gilead's inner machinery. She grew up inside it. She knows where its pressure points are. She knows where its weaknesses hide. And if Aunt Lydia truly decides to weaponize that knowledge, Gilead could have a serious problem. Now here's where my theory gets really interesting. I don't think Aunt Lydia wants Agnes to destroy Gilead with violence. I think she wants Agnes to destroy Gilead with truth. Think about it. Gilead survives because people believe the lies. The moment enough people stop believing, the entire structure becomes unstable. Agnes is uniquely positioned to expose those lies. She's respected. She's connected.
She's trusted.
People listen to her. And if she ever starts speaking openly about what she's seen, others may follow. That's how regimes collapse. Not always through war. Sometimes through disillusionment. Sometimes through exposure. Sometimes through people simply refusing to keep pretending. Agnes could become that catalyst. The person who inspires others to question. The person who reveals uncomfortable truths. The person who proves that obedience doesn't guarantee safety. Imagine Season 2. Imagine Agnes continuing to lose faith. Imagine her learning more secrets. Imagine her discovering the truth about June. The truth about Daisy. The truth about Aunt Lydia's plans. The truth about Gilead itself. Each revelation pushes her further toward rebellion. And unlike Daisy, who entered Gilead already opposed to it, Agnes's rebellion would carry enormous symbolic weight. Because she represents Gilead's greatest failure. The perfect daughter they tried to create. The ideal citizen. The success story. And yet she turns against them anyway. That would be devastating. It would prove that even their most successful indoctrination couldn't survive reality. And honestly, that feels like exactly the kind of ending Margaret Atwood would appreciate. Not a military victory. Not an action movie finale. But a deeply personal collapse driven by truth. A collapse caused by the very people Gilead believed it controlled. Which brings us back to Aunt Lydia. Many viewers think Lydia's endgame revolves around Daisy. I disagree. Daisy is important. She's necessary. She's useful. But Agnes is transformational. Daisy can gather information. Agnes can change minds. And changing minds is often far more powerful. If Season 1 has been building toward anything, I think it's this realization. Daisy may be the spark. June may be the inspiration. Aunt Lydia may be the architect. But Agnes? Agnes may be the weapon. The weapon Gilead created itself. The weapon it nurtured. The weapon it educated. The weapon it trusted. And those are always the most dangerous weapons of all. Because history shows us something fascinating. Empires rarely fall because of enemies standing outside the walls. They fall because someone inside finally decides enough is enough. And when that day comes in the Testaments, Don't be surprised if the girl everyone underestimated ends up being the one who brings the entire system crashing down. Not with a gun, not with an army, not with violence, but with truth. And in a world built on lies, truth may be the deadliest weapon imaginable.